Hello there and welcome to another video from Change, Tips and Tools. And today I want to answer the question, should we use pivot tables all the time? Now, pivot tables are great for on-the-spot data analysis when your boss asks you a specific question. However, are they the best thing when presenting your work or a summary of your data findings and analysis to a senior stakeholder like a CFO or a CEO? Well, let's investigate this and see if we can answer that question whilst learning some new tricks, hopefully. So I've got typical sales data here, and this data file can be found in the link in the description so you can follow along. So I've got January, February and March sales data, and if I right click on the tab and do unhide, you can see I've got a bunch of other data ready to pull in this example. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these into tables. As you know, I'm a big fan of Excel tables, so I'm going to select anywhere in the data, do Control T as the shortcut. Yes, it has headers, and then on table design ribbon, I'm just going to give it a meaningful name, so I'm going to call this TBL JAN for January 23, so this is year 23, and hit return. So I've now named this table. Let's do the same for February and March, and there you go. So I've now named all my tables here. So go back to the January tab. I'm going to do data, get data from other sources. I'm going to choose a blank query here for this demonstration. I'm going to do the equal sign in the formula bar, type Excel, choose excel.current workbook, do an open bracket, and then I'm just going to hit return. So there are my three tables. So I'm just going to, these outward facing arrows, I'm just going to click those to expand them. I'm going to get rid of or untick use original column name as prefix. So untick that and click OK. And then I'm going to name this query as sales data, hit return, and then I'm just going to close and load that. So there's my sales data tab. Here's the table. If I go to table design, you can see it's called sales data. If I refresh this and do refresh, you'll notice now it's got 73 rows because it's doubled the data, because it's added the sales data table as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the query in this queries and connections, do edit, and all I'm going to do is on this name column, which represents the tables, I'm just going to do untick sales data so it doesn't include it, and click OK. And then I don't need this column anymore, so I'm going to right click on it and do remove, and then close and load. And there we have it. We have our 36 rows. So there's my data. So if, say for example, I wanted to do this by month and I wanted to look at my summary of units sold, cost, sales and profit, I could possibly do insert. Let's insert pivot table from table and range. I'm going to use existing worksheets, so let's keep it on here so we can see what we're doing. I need to pick a destination, so let's just choose that there, J1, and do OK. And then I want the month, so there's the month, and then I want the units sold, cost, sales and profit. I don't like the way it does this, so I'm just going to on the design, make this on the report layout, make it a tabular format. It's okay. And again on the design, I can do some things in here and choose the different designs, so I'm going to choose that, and I can also customize the design. There's things that I can do there. And then on this, I I can do some things around changing the format of the field. So here, sum of units sold. Let's do field value settings, number format. Let's make it a number. I don't want any decimal places, and I want a 1000 separator there. And do OK. And then let's set these as a counting format here. So let's do cost, number format, accounting, got the pound sign here in Blighty. I'm going to click OK and then click OK. Let me do the same for the sum of sales and sum of profit. And there you go. So let's make these, I'm going to shut that down because I don't need it open anymore. I don't need the query and connections open, so I can remove that. And just looking at this, I'm just going to make these columns here. Let's do the width, format the width, and let's make them say 15. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's fine. And what I'm going to do here, because I don't want this changing, I'm just going to right click on this, do pivot table options. I'm going to untick the auto fit so it doesn't keep changing the column widths on me, and do OK. So there you go. Pretty easy, huh? But I can't get rid of this drop down here. And if I wanted to put this, so if I do right click here and unhide, so I've got a summary tab here. If I unhide that there, if I wanted to put that in here, that wouldn't look particularly great. If I just get rid of the view and get rid of the grid lines, that's what it looks like. But so for example, if I wanted the months across the top and I wanted it by widgets, so again, if I do insert pivot table from table and range, and again let's use existing worksheet and let's put it here and do click OK. And again I want the widget. I then want the months along the top, and let's do units sold as the value that we're looking at there. So again, let's just change the design. Yeah, let's again, let's do it tabular format. As far as the totals, I only want it by column. And then let's make this here. And let's make these all, let's go to AD, allow for growth. I'm going to right click, do column width, and let's make that 15 again, hit return. And again, in here, I'm just going to right click on it, pivot table options, and I don't want it auto fitting, so I'm just going to do that and do OK. Now this looks fine, it's easy for doing data analysis, but you start to see this starts to get a bit messy. Now, there is another way that we can do this, and that's by using array formulas. So let's try and do it with array formulas. So let's do this one first. So again, I'm just going to start it here and allow some room for maneuvering. And if I do, let's take, I want to do by month, so I'm going to do month, like so, and then I'm going to take these values here, I'm just going to select them, do Control Copy, and then here, I'm just going to do Shift Control V to copy the values only, and then let's just format these, let's do, let's make it green, let's make the font white and bold. Let's move these to the center, like so. Okay. Now, let's do the month first. So I'm going to do equals unique, And the column I'm going to take the unique from is the months, so I'm going to select that column, and you can see it's done sales data, the table, and then the month. Then I'm going to close that bracket and hit return. So I've now got the months there. That's great. Now let's take I want the units sold, and the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to do equals SUMIFs. My sum range is going to be units sold, so I'm going to select that column. Again, I've got units sold there. I'm going to do comma. My criteria is going to be the month, so I'm going to select that column. Now, I want this to be an absolute reference to that column because I want to copy this formula across to cost, sales and profit. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to press F2 to put that cell into edit mode. And then I'm just going to move across to there. I'm going to do another open square bracket like so. And then I'm going to do colon, open square bracket, select month again. And then do 2 square brackets. And that's an absolute reference to that column in that table. And then my criteria is going to be this, which is a spill range. So I'm going to do hash. And then I'm going to close the bracket on that and hit enter, and there you go. And then what I need to do is I need to make this, so again if I do F2 to go into edit mode, I need to make this an absolute reference because I don't want it moving when I copy the formula. So I'm going to do F4 to make that absolute, and again, and then if I take that and copy it across, I've now got the same values you can see that I've got up there. However, I then want a total. So I want a total there. And this is where VStack becomes really useful because I want to make it dynamic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do F2 again, and then I'm going to click in front of unique. And I'm going to type VStack function. There it is. I'm going to do Alt return to get a new line. So just move that over to the right so we can see what we're doing. So this is my first array. I'm going to do comma. I'm going to do Alt return again to do a new line within the cell. And then I'm going to do double quotation marks and do total. Close those double quotation marks and then do Alt return for a new line. Then I'm going to do a bracket, a closed bracket to close the VStack. And then I'm going to hit return. So now I've got this working out. I've got this now doing the months and then adding total on the end. But as you can see here, it's now trying to calculate and sum if this total. I don't want it to consider the total, so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to go into this formula here, and where it's looking at the spill range, I'm just going to drop a row. I'm going to use the drop function. So I'm going to do drop, open bracket, yeah, and after the hash, I'm going to do comma and do -1 to drop the last row, and then close that bracket on the drop and hit return, and there you go. And that's now dropped that last row. So if I do the same and just copy that across now, boom. But I want to get the total here at the bottom. So the way that I'm going to do that again is I'm going to use the VStack. So again, I'm going to do F2 just to go into cell edit mode, and at the front of here, SUMIFs, the first SUMIFs, I'm going to do VStack, do Alt return. Just move this help here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go to the end of the SUMIFs there and do a comma. So that's my first array. I'm going to do Alt return, and then my next array is going to be a sum. So I'm going to do sum, and I'm just going to sum total units sold there. Close the bracket on the sum, do Alt return, and then close the bracket on the VStack and hit return. So now I've got the total there. Wonderful. So let's just copy that formula across. Boom. So let's just format these columns here. So I'm just going to take that there and just, page down. I'll make that a number. Just do control 1 actually, because I want a separator and I don't want any decimal places. And then these, again, just page down. I'm going to do control 1, just make it accounting, that's fine, and do OK. So we've now got that looking pretty much the same as that, but I think this looks a lot better because I don't have this drop down. And if I want to put some filters on here, I can put some drop downs here and add some filter functionality within the array. The last thing I want to do is I want to do some conditional formatting. So I'm going to, so here it's J18. So if I go to J18, I'm just going to highlight all these. I'm then going to do page down, and I'm going to do conditional formatting, new rule, based on user formula to determine which cells to format. And all I'm going to do is do equals if J18, so I'm going to do dollar to lock the column, $ J, then 18 to keep the row relative, equals total, in double quotation marks, then return a true if that's, or a false. And if it's true, I want it to format it, and I'm just going to do format, and I'm going to make it bold and italic, and then on the border I'm going to choose this dark colour here, this line here, and just do the top border there and do OK, do OK again, and if I look at it, there we go. So there's how I would do that one. Now let's look at this one, because I just want a single row here. I don't want this sum of units sold. And the thing up here as well is that I can't change these names. If I load the pivot table using Power Pivot, then I can change these column names. But if I type units sold here, I'm going to get an error message saying it already exists. So I'm going to do OK and do escape. So again, I can control the wording here. It's a lot easier to do the formatting here than messing around with the pivot table design up here. Okay, so let's look at how would I do this one though, where these months potentially are going to grow to the right. Well, again, the way that I do that is if I go widget. So let's do the widget first, and if I do equals unique, let's take the widget column there, close that bracket. I'm going to press F2 to put it into edit mode and go to the front here and just wrap that in a sort as well. Then hit return. So there are my widgets sorted. So again, let's just do that V stack. Again, I'm going to do F2. Let's add V stack on the front of here. So let's do V stack, Alt return. So that's going to be my first array. My second array is going to be, that's right, you guessed, it's going to be total. So in double quotation marks, I'm going to do total. Do Alt return, then close the bracket on the V stack. And there you go. So I've now got my widgets. Now I need to get the months going across. So here I'm going to do again unique. So I'm going to do equals unique. I'm going to select the month, and I'm going to close the bracket on that. Obviously it's put it down vertically. I want it to go across the top. So again, I'm just going to F2 to go into edit mode, and I'm going to put transpose function in front of that. Hit return, and now it's got it going across the top. I need to do some conditional formatting, so let's just allow growth for that. So I'm just going to go to what AD here. I'm going to do conditional formatting, do new rule, and again I'm going to use a formula, and let's just look at this. So this is Q17. So again, equals if Q17 is blank, then I don't want to do anything, but if it isn't, then I want it to format it. So I'm going to use the isBlank function. I want to keep this relative, so it's Q18. Close that bracket. Let's move that out of the way. Equals false. Then return. Then it's true. False. I'll see if that's true. If it's not blank, I want to format it. And the formatting I am going to do, the fill is going to be this colour. The font, I'm going to make it bold and italic, and let's make it white. And I'm going to do OK. And then do OK again. Now, it hasn't changed it. Why is that? Let's have a look. Let's do, select there, conditional formatting, manage rules. Let's just edit that and do edit rule. So I'm saying if Q18, so it's the wrong row, I picked the wrong row there, so let's make that a 17. And I'm going to do OK and do OK, and there you go. No, it works. It does help if you pick the right row there. So now I've done that formatting, let's just scroll this back over here. We now need to do a sum if where it's looking at the month of January and that widget. So I'm going to do equals sum ifs. So the sum range is going to be, so it's the unit sold that we're looking at here. So I'm going to choose that column in the table. And I want to, as far as the criteria is concerned, it's going to be the widget column. Yep. And that's going to be the criteria 1, the first criteria. I'm going to do comma, and I'm going to be looking at this is going to be my actual criteria here. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to do hash. Okay, and again, I am going to make that fixed. So I'm going to do function F4, and then we're going to do comma. My second criteria is going to be the month column. So again, I'm going to select the month column, do comma, and my range is going to be here, the months. I'm going to do hash to pick up that spill range, and then I'm going to close the bracket and hit return. And there you go. And then once again, it's picking up the total here. So all I'm going to do is click there, do F2 to edit the formula. And on this one here, this is where I want to do the drop on the widget, because I don't want to count the total. So I'm going to do drop function, open bracket, and that's going to be, do a comma and then -1 for to drop the last row. Then I'm going to hit return. Wonderful. And all I want to do now is I just want to add a sum or a total at the bottom here. So again, I'm just going to do F2 to go into edit mode, and let's use VStack again. So here at the front, I'm going to do VStack, do Alt return. Let's move this out of the way here. Let's just move over to this so you can see. So there's VStack. And let's just put a comma at the end of there. Do Alt return again. And now I want to do another sum ifs. So sum ifs. Yeah. My sum range is going to be the total units sold. Yeah. I'm going to do comma. My criteria this time is just going to be the month, not the widget yet. So I'm going to choose the month column. And then as far as my criteria range, it's going to be up here, the month. So again, that's a spill range. Do the hash. And I'm going to close the bracket on that sum if. I'm going to do Alt Return and close the bracket on the VStack and hit return. And there you go. So what I've got to do now is I've got to add some conditional formatting here. So again, so my start point is going to be P18 here, P18. And I'm going to do, and again, let's allow to, let's go to AD, allow for growth, do page down, and then do conditional formatting, new rule, formula, and again it's going to be equals if, yeah, P, in fact I'm going to use an AND function here. So using an AND function, both criteria have to be correct and it'll return a true. If both criteria or all criteria within the AND function are not true, then it'll return a false. So I'm going to do AND. So the first criteria is if P18. So let's do a so if P18, I'm going to do a dollar to fix the column. P18, so the first check, does it equal total? In double quotation mark. The second criteria is the cell blank. So if I do is blank again function, and this will be relative, so I'm going to do P18 with no dollar signs to lock it. Yeah, close that bracket and say, does that equal false? In other words, it's got something in it. Yeah, and I'm going to close that bracket. So if those are both true, then I want it to format it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it bold and italic. I'm going to take the border, again take this dark green here, use this line and just do the top and do OK. Do OK again, and then if I look up, there we go. So I've now got two, and again I can take these and let's just shift page down, do Control 1. Let's make sure it's a number, no decimal places, and it has a separator. There we go. So that looks better. Again, I could do the same up here. So let's add some data and let's just see what happens here. So if I just right click here and do unhide, and let's bring in April. Can make that a table, Control T. There we go. So if I then go to my sales data here and I do data and I do refresh all. This is interesting. So you can see the April data on our array formulas is actually updated straight away based on that refresh. But up here, I've got to right click on it, do refresh, and doing that second refresh, it's now included it. So that's interesting. So let's take these summary or array formulas and let's put them on the summary table. So let me just do that. And there we go. I've got by month and then by widget, units sold. I'm just going to move these actually, and I've got it going to the there to there. Let's just make sure they are right aligned, in line with the numbers. I think that's better. And then let's add another month. So let's unhide May, bring May in, turn that into a table. Let's go back to the summary. Let's do data. Let's do refresh. And there you go. May's added. May's added there instantaneously. So hopefully that's been informative. Personally, I think pivot tables are better for quick data analysis and to respond to ad hoc queries that your that your boss may ask of you. However, when it comes to presenting a regular report to senior stakeholders, and this is really a way to market yourself, I think the array formulas enable you to format the view in a much more user-friendly way, and I think it's more suitable for a CFO or a CEO when you're presenting this report on a regular basis. But that's my opinion. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments, and remember to click that like, subscribe, and smash that notifications button for future content. And as always, I wish you an absolutely wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Please take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video from Change, Tips and Tools. Bye bye now.